The morning of June 18, 2026, rescue teams found the body of a young man lying in the dense vegetation on the western slope of Lohagad Fort, Maharashtra, around 350 to 400 meters down the gorge. He had died before rescue teams could even reach him. He was Ketan Agarwal, 26, director of Success Group and son of well-known Pune businessman Vishal Devichand Agarwal. Just hours earlier, he'd climbed this very fort with the woman he was planning to marry in November, in a grand wedding at Udaipur, with a palace venue and a private jet already booked. That woman told Ketan's family he'd slipped while taking photos because of strong winds. Police initially recorded it as a trekking accident, and the case very nearly ended there, until an investigator went back through security camera footage at the fort's ticket counter and spotted a man secretly following Ketan and the woman from behind. He was wearing a hoodie, his face covered, a cap pulled down and earphones in. The temperature that day was 33 degrees Celsius. Who wears a hoodie, face covered, while trekking in 33-degree heat? And what did that mysterious man have to do with Ketan's death? Ketan Vishal Agarwal was born and raised in Gahunje, Pune, into a well-known business family in Maharashtra. His father, Vishal Devichand Agarwal, was one of Pune's leading property developers running Success Group, a company with decades in the business. Ketan wasn't just the son of a successful businessman. He'd built his own path, holding an MS in entrepreneurship and taking on the role of director and marketing head at the very same family company. Those who knew Ketan described him as energetic, driven, and devoted to his family. In February 2026, Ketan got engaged to Sia Goyal, a 20-year-old from Bibwewadi, Pune, who ran a small bakery business of her own. Both families agreed to the match and began planning a grand wedding in Udaipur, set for November 2026, with a palace venue already booked and a private jet arranged for the guests. To everyone around him, this was the story of a successful young man stepping into a new chapter of his life. Nobody knew that while Ketan was looking ahead to his future, someone was already planning to make sure he'd never get there. And to understand that, we need to look at what was happening behind the scenes of that engagement. After their engagement in February 2026, Ketan and Sia settled into life as a couple, gearing up for their wedding. Both families met regularly to plan the ceremony. Ketan introduced Sia to his friends and colleagues. They planned a pre-wedding photo shoot trip to Bali, one of the moments Ketan looked forward to most in the run-up to the wedding. Sia ran her bakery business in Pune, while Ketan carried on with his work at Success Group. To the outside world, this was the picture of a happy young couple building a future together. But while Ketan was counting down the days to his wedding, Sia was maintaining an entirely different relationship, one he had no idea about. And that relationship had begun even before Ketan and Sia got engaged. In 2025, at a business event in Pune, Sia Goyal met Chetan Babulal Chaudhary, 22, a dry fruit trader from Kondhwa, Pune. The relationship between the two gradually turned romantic and continued even after Sia got engaged to Ketan in February 2026. Over the course of 7 months, Sia and Chetan exchanged 2,004 phone calls, totaling 238 hours, averaging over 30 minutes per call. This was digital evidence police would later uncover, and it became one of the most crucial links in the entire case. According to police investigation, Chetan saw Ketan as an obstacle standing in the way of their relationship. But Sia didn't want to break off the engagement and run away with Chetan, fearing it would bring shame on her family. To her, there was only one way to solve the problem. And to carry that out, Sia began searching online with the words, "How to kill." The question wasn't whether Ketan would die. It was when and how. According to the investigation by Pune Rural and Local Crime Branch Police, Sia and Chetan had been planning to get rid of Ketan together for weeks before the crime took place. Their first plan was to sabotage the pre-wedding photoshoot trip to Bali. On the day they were due at Mumbai airport, Ketan discovered his passport had gone missing. The trip was cancelled on the spot. Ketan's father later alleged Sia had deliberately hidden the passport to sabotage the trip, possibly one part of a bigger plan Sia was carrying out, step by step. The next plan was to get Ketan to Lohagad Fort, one of the most well-known trekking spots near Pune, about 52 kilometers northwest of the city. With its sheer cliffs and gorges hundreds of meters deep, this was a place where a trekking accident wouldn't raise any suspicion at all. Sia convinced Ketan to head to the fort, telling him it was just an outing. Chetan would go ahead of them and wait there, out of sight. On June 14, 2026, Sia convinced Ketan to go to Lohagad Fort for the first time. As the two of them were climbing toward the top, Sia pushed Ketan toward the edge of the gorge. Ketan survived, grabbing onto a bush right at the edge of the cliff. Sia immediately screamed that she'd seen a snake, explaining that she'd pushed him to protect him from it. Ketan believed the explanation given by the woman he was about to marry. The first attempt failed. But Sia and Chetan didn't give up. Over the following days, Sia kept trying to convince Ketan to go back to the fort. Ketan pushed back, not wanting to go there again. So Sia switched tactics. She called Ketan's mother and convinced her to encourage her son to go on a midnight birthday trip to Lohagad Fort on June 18. His mother had no idea that phone call was part of the plan. And Ketan agreed to go. On the night of June 18, 2026, Ketan and Sia arrived at Lohagad Fort. Chetan was already there, waiting, secretly tracking the couple from behind at a distance of 20 to 30 feet. Wearing a hoodie, face covered, cap pulled down, earphones in, despite the 33-degree heat. As Ketan and Sia climbed up to the designated spot, according to police allegations, Sia signaled to Chetan. Chetan moved in close, and the two of them pushed Ketan from behind, sending him plunging into the gorge. Ketan Agarwal fell 350 to 400 meters, dying on the spot, in the dense vegetation on the western slope of the fort. Chetan fled the scene immediately. Sia stayed behind, preparing the story she would tell everyone. And that story began that very same night. After Ketan fell into the gorge, Sia immediately contacted his family, telling them Ketan had slipped while taking photos because of strong winds. A tragic trekking accident, nothing out of the ordinary. Rescue teams were deployed and took several hours to reach Ketan's body, deep in the gorge. Police arrived at the scene, and after hearing Sia's statement, recorded the incident as an accidental death. The case very nearly closed there entirely. Ketan was treated as the victim of an unfortunate trekking accident at one of Maharashtra's most famous historic forts. But Ketan's family didn't fully believe that explanation. Ketan's uncle passed on some suspicious information to police, and Superintendent of Police Sandeep Singh Gill ordered the local crime branch to launch an independent investigation. And when investigators went back through the security camera footage at the fort's ticket counter, everything began to change. Investigators went back through all the security camera footage at Lohagad Fort's ticket counter and spotted a man in a hoodie tracking Ketan and Sia from behind. What caught their attention right away was that the man suddenly crouched down every time Sia turned to look back, as if he was deliberately trying to avoid being seen. Police confirmed the temperature at Lohagad Fort on June 18, 2026 was 33 degrees Celsius. There was no natural reason for a trekker to wear a hoodie, face covered, in that kind of heat, unless they were trying to hide their identity. Police cross-referenced the CCTV footage with social media photos and identified the man in the hoodie as Chetan Babulal Chaudhary. An analysis of call detail records and digital data revealed 2,004 calls over 7 months between Sia and Chetan, totaling 238 hours. Police also found that Sia had searched online for how to kill before the crime took place. Piece by piece, the evidence came together, and the picture that emerged was no longer a trekking accident. On June 24, 2026, Pune Rural Police formally arrested Sia Praveen Goyal and Chetan Babulal Chaudhary on charges of murder and criminal conspiracy under BNS Section 103. During questioning, investigators asked Chetan why the two of them hadn't simply run away together instead of planning to kill Ketan. Chetan's answer laid bare the entire logic behind the crime. Sia didn't want to break off the engagement and run away because she believed it would bring shame on her family. Police also confirmed Sia had signaled to Chetan right before the two of them pushed Ketan into the gorge, a detail uncovered by cross-referencing the security camera footage with the suspect's statements. Right after the arrests, police took Sia Goyal back to Lohagad Fort for a scene reconstruction. Images of her being led to the exact spot where Ketan lost his life spread widely across news channels nationwide. And as the full story came out into the open, the whole of India struggled to believe what had happened. As of when this video was made, Sia Goyal and Chetan Chaudhary remain in custody in Pune, awaiting the court's verdict. The charge sheet is being finalized and the case is moving toward formal trial. Ketan's father, Vishal Devichand Agarwal, a man who'd spent his entire life building Success Group, pouring every hope into his only son, is now following every twist of the case, hoping justice will be served for Ketan. Lohagad Fort, a UNESCO World Heritage Site recognized in 2025, a historic landmark standing across centuries of Maharashtra's history, is now tied to a story nobody wants to remember. The Ketan Agarwal case raises questions with no easy answers. A 26-year-old man preparing for the grandest wedding of his life. He trusted the woman about to become his wife completely. So completely that when she pushed him into the gorge the first time, he accepted her explanation about the snake. And the second time he went to that fort, it was because his own mother encouraged him to, after Sia called her. Which detail in this case do you find most chilling? Sia searching how to kill online, her calling Ketan's mother to lure him back to the fort, or Ketan believing the snake explanation after the first attempt? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Ketan Agarwal's story isn't just a criminal case that happened at a historic fort. It's a story about trust, exploited in the most ruthless way imaginable. Ketan trusted Sia. He believed the story about the snake. He believed in the midnight birthday trip his own mother encouraged. And it was that very trust that led him back to the exact spot where the woman he loved had planned to make sure he'd never leave. The second lesson comes from the power of digital evidence. A hoodie in 33-degree heat, the search term "how to kill" typed into the internet. 2004 calls over 7 months. Everything Sia and Chetan believed would leave no trace became undeniable evidence in the hands of police. And the final lesson comes from Ketan's family. His uncle refused to accept the accident story and passed information on to police. It was that very suspicion that opened up the investigation, leading to Sia and Chetan's arrest just 6 days after the crime. Without someone brave enough to ask questions, this case might have closed forever, as nothing more than an ordinary trekking accident. Remember his name, Ketan Agarwal. Gahunje, Pune, Maharashtra, 1999 to 2026. A son, a young director, a man who trusted with everything he had, and lost his life at one of Maharashtra's most beautiful forts, one night in June 2026, at the hands of the woman he called his bride-to-be.